Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world of rugby. And welcome to the 15 Rugby podcast with me, Hendrik Fourie, from a very, very nice and sunny Johannesburg in South Africa. Albeit a little bit chilly in the shade, we've got a wonderful day and a great show ahead of us. Today we're having a quick look at the past Toyota Challenge that took place in South Africa. We're going to have a look at the URC final coming up between the Bulls and Leinster this coming weekend. And then, of course, we're going to talk team selection regarding the Springboks versus the Barbarians specifically, and also Zimbabwe. So first up, we're just going to have a quick look at the Toyota Challenge that took place over the last 10 days or so. It was played first on a Saturday, then the Wednesday, and then the following Sunday as well. That was an international competition born from the initiative of Free State Rugby and Toyota. So well done to them for getting something like this. I know that it's been coming a few years, but this year it was expanded, and hopefully in the future it will expand some more. So from South Africa, we had the Toyota Cheetahs, the host team, and the Suzuki Griquas and the Airlink Pumas, who played crossover matches against Black Lion from Georgia, Romania A, and the Lusitanos from Portugal. And I think it was a wonderful initiative. The result at the end of the day was kind of expected. However, there was the one win that the Black Lion had over the Pumas. That was pretty much unexpected. So well done to the Black Lion. I think in future they would probably have to look at rotating the venue. What I thought was really great was that they had 3 matches on one day at the venue. This took place at the Free State Stadium in Bloemfontein, the home of the Cheetahs. And my suggestion would simply be that in future, if they're going to keep the same format next year, that they would maybe start off playing the first day or the first round in Nelspruit, the home of the Pumas. Then the next set of matches take that to Kimberley and end up in the Free State in Bloemfontein to play the let's call it the finals, the unofficial finals there, just to spread out rugby, and to also give the supporters of those other 2 teams an opportunity as well. We saw, especially on the middle Wednesday, there were very few spectators. So, my opinion, stretch it over 3 weekends, and let each one of the home teams host each one of those weekends. In terms of the results, I think the Griquas really put themselves apart in this tournament. They ended up with a points difference of 119 positive, and obviously with no losses. The Cheetahs also didn't lose. Their points difference was 79, which is obviously good. In the third place was the Pumas, then Black Lion, Romania A, and lastly the Lusitanos. However, last night I was on a live podcast with the Rugby Guru, and we had a very, very nice discussion there. And the Rugby Guru made a suggestion of actually expanding it and using it as a kind of a promotion relegation tournament as well for the South African team. If you're interested in that conversation, go check out the Rugby Guru and last night's live podcast regarding that. I will also say this. The Griquas, who are the current Currie Cup champions, will definitely be a team to be reckoned with in this coming Currie Cup, which starts in July. And it's going to be interesting to see if any team can really keep up with them over the course of the Currie Cup. I'm looking forward, and of course, hoping that the Lions will do well in this year's Currie Cup and bring the cup home at the end of this season. Next up, we've got to discuss the URC final this coming weekend. That's going to be Friday night, South African time, 8:30. So we're obviously all looking forward. And even as a Lions supporter, I'm fully backing the Bulls, hoping that they can win. We'll talk about what my prediction is just at the end of this. However, I must say at the moment, Leinster is looking like the team to beat. They've got home ground advantage. South African teams traditionally do not travel well overseas, unfortunately, especially when it comes to finals. We don't have a great track record in that regard. So I'm really hoping that the Bulls will go out and prove me wrong, that they'll find something to give them the edge. Personally, I believe there's a couple of factors that needs to play in the Bulls' favor. Is number one is Andre Pollard. Andre Pollard, we all know, is a man for the big occasion, and we know what he's capable of. However, Andre Pollard hasn't had a great season, and he admitted it himself that he's not where he believes he should be or could be. He's going to have to be pinpoint on target with his kicks because I believe the score. The score difference at the end will not be big. So every single point is going to matter. So that's the first thing. Andre Pollard needs to be running or firing on all cylinders. The next thing, of course, is the forwards. The Bulls forwards are going to smash it up. I hope that they do for 60 minutes plus, uh, targeting that second and third channel where Sam Prendergast is, where the centres are. They need to take it a little bit wider from the forwards and run them ragged. Then the other thing that the Bulls need to hopefully have fixed before during the last 2 weeks training is their defensive system out wide. This is not a problem only with the Bulls. It's been a problem with all the South African sides, especially the Lions. I'm weary to say, and it's an unfortunate thing to have to say, but Leinster and Glasgow especially showed that we've got serious weaknesses in our defensive structures, especially once the game goes out wide, and a lot of the players have been drawn in. I would dare to say that the first one or two tries might come from Leinster, and they will be out wide. So we'll wait and see for that. Regarding Leinster, I believe that Jamison Gibson Park is their key player. If he's going to play well on the evening, and he's been playing brilliantly this whole season from this Six Nations right through the URC, Jamison Gibson Park has been a stellar scrum half. In my opinion, probably the best in the world this year. If he has a good match, it's going to be a difficult evening for the Bulls. If Jamison Gibson Park doesn't have the greatest match ever, the Bulls will be in with a chance. I think he's an absolute leader, and he's the center which around which everything turns in the Leinster side. He's a captain, he's a general, he's an organizer, he's a very intelligent thinker on the rugby field. So he's going to be their number one weapon, I believe, in terms of their tactics. The other great weapon that I've been talking about the entire season is the Leinster defensive structures. Now, against Bordeaux in the EPCR final, that didn't show, unfortunately for them. Um, However, every other match so far, almost every other match, the defensive structure has been simply a suffocating weapon that they keep teams at bay. They don't allow teams to play out wide. They don't allow teams to pick up pace, to gain momentum. And maybe that's something that could even work in the Bulls' favor. I believe that the Bulls need actually to slow the game down, and they need Leinster to play at the Bulls' own pace, where they determine the pace and the hurriedness of the set pieces, the scrums, the lineouts, getting them their lineout mauls ready and firing. I think the Bulls really need to sort of take a step back, take control of the game, and then play to their strong points. Overall, unfortunately, I don't think if I've got to put some money on this game, it will be that Leinster will win this match by 5 points or less. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think there's going to be a runaway victory either way. If Andre Pollard is on target, and if the Bulls do everything right, and if they can overcome the mental challenge of playing a final overseas, the Bulls are in with a chance. But as for me, I don't think they're going to make it. Lastly, today we're going to discuss the exciting international season that is ahead of us and kicking off this weekend for the Springboks. As you probably know, this Saturday, I think at around 12 o'clock in Port Elizabeth, the Springbok A team will be playing Zimbabwe. And I assume that this is part of Zimbabwe's preparation for the World Cup for next year. And then after that, at around 3 o'clock, the Springboks will be playing the Barbarians in an unofficial test. However, I don't think there will be anything unofficial about it from the Springboks and the coaching team's point of view. It's not an end of the year match where it's just a kind of a celebratory match where everybody will go out and just have a fun day at the park. Since 2 weeks after that, we kick off our season against England, and that will be vital to win. We know that England disappointed themselves in the Six Nations, and their next match is against the Springboks, the current world champions. So that's going to be tough, and England will come out all cylinders firing. I can promise you that. So the team selection for this weekend coming up for the Springbok team, or for the actual A team, is going to be vital. And I believe that the coaches, obviously Rassi included there, will look at it as getting everything as ready as possible for their match against England. I don't think this is the time for too many experiments. I don't think too many youngsters will get a go in the actual Springbok team this weekend. The Barbarians will obviously come out and play enjoyable, expansive, creative rugby. I think players like Duan van der Merwe probably has something to prove in a match against the Springboks. So there will be something on the line. It won't just be an let's go out and enjoy the day at the park kind of game. In terms of team selection, it's a little bit difficult because the Bulls players are not available, and everybody who understands rugby know that at the moment the Bulls forwards, their pack is superior in South African rugby, and they are bound to get better, and all of their players are on an upwards curve. Included in the Bulls team are the 9 and 10, Embrose Papier and Andre Pollard, who are basically shoe-ins for the Springbok team as well at the moment. Maybe Andre Pollard not so much, but Embrose Papier, in my view, is South Africa's number one scrum half. So the other problem is that not all of the available Springbok players play URC. So we haven't seen all of them in action over the past couple of months, except maybe if you, in some way or another, watch the players in the Japanese league or some in the French league, or English, even for the English teams. So selection makes it limited for this weekend. However, for my selection team, I went for what I believe is the best and should be on the park for the Springboks leading up to the Springbok match against England. Except, as I said earlier, for the Bulls players. So I'm just going to give it to you straight, like I think it should be. My front row is Oxenchair. Oxenchair is still at the moment, I believe, our number one, and he should be there. You need the experience going into the international season. I think Ntutukum Chunu probably had the best season on number one, But in terms of experience and form combined, I'm going to go with Oxenchair. And number two, it's a tight call between Malcolm Marx and Andre Guventer. Um, but I believe it's the same kind of thing. However, I believe Andre Guventer is battle ready. And Malcolm Marx is the kind of player that I'm sure Rassie would want to take to the World Cup next year, and he's going to be careful in the way that he uses him. Malcolm will probably be on the bench. So my call on number two is Andre Guventer. On number three prop, really excluding the Bulls players is Neetling Forshee. Neetling has got a serious work rate. He gets around the park and he does his job in the scrums and lineouts as well. Our locks at the moment, we seem to be a little bit limited. And again, I must say the Bulls' two locks were really great, but we can't consider them for this weekend. Of the available locks at the moment, again, leading into the match with England, I'm going to choose Evan Etzebeth and Franco Mostert as my 4 and 5. Evan brings, again, serious experience to the team. Hopefully, he keeps a cool head, doesn't give away too many penalties, and makes up if he does in terms of his physicality. Franco Mostert is like having a fourth loose forward on the park, and he can be moved around if it becomes necessary later in the match. So Evan and Franco would be my pick. Number 6, I just want to stop there. To me, there's only one number 6 this entire season, this URC season at least. And I don't even know if there's a debate around that. Paul de Villiers should be wearing number 6. I know that there's a lot of talk about Siya Kolisi, but based on Siya Kolisi's form and injury woes this past season, I don't believe Siya Kolisi should even be in the 23 going into this match. On 7, I'm choosing Pieter-Steph du Toit. We know what he's capable of, and if he's on form and fit, there's just no way denying putting Pieter-Steph in the team. Number 8 is again one of those where there's quite a bit of a debate at the moment. It should be probably between Jasper Wiese and Evan Roos. I've got no problem with either of them. I think they're both great, hard rugby players. Evan Roos seems to have had some kind of emotional difficulty getting into the Springbok setup, but I really hope that he gets a chance. Probably Rassie will go with Jasper Wiese at number 8, but for me personally, I like the dog that Evan Roos brings to the fight. He's one of those players that you need to unsettle the opponents, and I think against England we're going to need somebody like him. As long as he can keep his cool and as long as he can keep his head about him, I think Evan has shown this URC season that he deserves a proper chance. Then if we move on to number 9, we've got so many injuries. We've got Kobus Reinach, we've got Mornay van der Berg injured at the moment. Then we've got Ambrose Papier playing for the Bulls. So I believe our top 3 scrum halves at the moment not available. It leaves basically only one choice in Grant Williams, which I rate highly. And I think he also, apart from injuries, had a really good season with the Sharks. And I believe that he is the one to step up. I know that Faf de Klerk has been called into the squad. Personally, I believe that's just to cover in terms of experience. You can't have Grant Williams and then have his backup on the bench, somebody like a young Hashim Peed or Nico Steyn, who are both great scrum halves. But I believe, again, that's the reason why Faf was pulled into the squad to cover with in terms of experience. Number 10, again, there's no choice really at the moment. Andre Pollard playing in the URC final. Sasha Feinberg still injured. really only leaves Mani Libok, who's great. He's been having a great season in Japan. The last time he played for the Springboks, or the last few matches, he was good. He's a player that brings the X factor. I like Mani Libok, and I hope that it goes well with him, and that he's got a good match. I believe that he will be chosen. I can't see anybody else stepping into that role again, leading up to the test against England. I think Mani Libok is the guy that will be chosen. My 12 and 13, um, that wasn't as easy. Um, However, eventually I landed on Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel. The way Andre Esterhuizen proved his leadership with the Sharks this year, his general play, I think without Andre Esterhuizen in the Sharks team, it would have been a much more difficult for the team year for them. I think Jesse Kriel is just half man, half robot, half Superman, something like that. The guy seems to be indestructible, and he's an intelligent rugby player. He's a very evenly tempered, and he's just a great all-round player, which you simply can't leave out at this stage. He's at the peak of his game. So for me, it's Andre Esterhuizen and Jesse Kriel. I would, of course, love to see Damian Willemse at 12 again. Last year we saw him against the All Blacks, where he had, in my view, probably his best Springbok match ever. However, I just can't leave out Andre Esterhuizen or Jesse Kriel. The wings choose themselves at the moment. It's Cheslin Colby and Edwin van der Merwe. There are a few others that's knocking hard on the door. For me, I'm pinpointing Cheswell Euster to become one of the great Springbok wingers of all time. If his trajectory keeps on the way that it is, he's probably the fastest guy in the Springbok setup, or will be. And he's just a strong, great player. He's got rugby sense. So looking forward to that. And then at number 15, it was a bit of a tough choice. We stuck between Fassi and Damian Willemse, and then Kieran Horn, who, if there's one player that deserves to play in the Springbok jersey, it's Kieran Horn. He was just stellar for the Lions this year. Didn't miss a single minute of URC rugby, and he was really, really fantastic. However, if I put those three players next to each other, and I've got to choose somebody that's got experience, that is in form, and that I know will bring stability. He will bring also he'll bring a great attacking flair and consistency at the back. It's got to be Damian Willemse. So there's my starting 15. I'm not even going to try and venture into the Springbok A side to face Zimbabwe, and who's going to get game time and who's going to sit on the bench for the Springboks. I'm just going to look at the 15 Springboks to start on Saturday. That is the team that I would have chosen. Everybody will definitely not agree, and I can accept that because there's a lot of things, a lot of positions that I even had to think a lot about, and it could have gone either way, really. Anyways, from myself, Hendrik Fourie, in a beautiful Joburg day, in the smack middle of winter. I hope that you've got a great week, and I'm looking forward to some great rugby this weekend. Enjoy it, and if you're in a pub or if you're at the park, have one on me. Cheers.